The Mexican state of Yucatan may be best known for its Mayan ruins and turquoise waters. But for real travelers, it's the deep dive into the history and culture dating back generations of artisans and innovators that makes the real experiential difference. Here's my special report on the Yucatan.
Yucatan is one of 32 Mexican states in the northwestern part of the Yucatan Peninsula. Its coastline faces the Gulf of Mexico, but there's an explosive reason behind its history. It's home to the Chicxulub crater that geologists say dates back approximately 65 million years, when the Earth's collision with a meteorite resulted in the extinction of the dinosaurs. That meteor impact also created endless underground springs and watering holes called cenotes, and there are more than 6,000 in the Yucatan Peninsula alone. And you don't have to look far to find them. In fact, one is hidden in plain sight in the middle of a parking lot of Costco, discovered when they started construction. The Yucatan is also home to beautiful reserves like the El Corchito in Progreso, where visitors can see firsthand the results of that meteor explosion.
This is the fossil.
Es un fossil.
Wow. And it's just sitting there on the side of the trail. Millions of years, that's wild.
And the Celestun Reserve, which is home to thousands of protected flamingos. And in recent years, responsible travelers have embraced the growing trend in the Yucatan called economic discovery tourism. At one point in the 1800s, Yucatan became one of the richest states in Mexico. And in the capital city of Merida, by the turn of the century, there were more millionaires than any other city in the world. Today, it's a different measure of wealth. Merida mixes colonial and Mayan history with a thriving economy that features the handmade work of artisans, like the ancient Mayan art of hammock weaving, made the same way today at Cielo Hammocks as hundreds of years ago. The owner, Constantino Urzes, explained to me his philosophy on what makes this essential furniture.
We sleep in hammocks every night. You're born in a hammock, you have your siesta, and you die in a hammock. Everything is made with hooks in this city.
But the tradition of the making of the hammock, what we're seeing here goes back generations.
Oh yeah. There's no a school where she learned how to do it. It passed generation after generation.
So her parents handed it down to her, and her grandparents to her parents.
Exactly.
Merida is also known for producing another important part of the Yucatan culture. You can't miss the distinct, often four-pocket look of these formal shirts, never tucked in, called the guayabera. They've been around since the late 1800s.
And here is where the magic happens.
Daphne Tamayo is the lead designer for Esencia Maya, and it didn't take long for her to prove to me how difficult making the intricate embroidery really is.
Oh, that was mine?
Yeah. Look.
Yeah, I see the before and the
Very
after.
uniform.
And then me,
one
and then
a
me.
little bit not uniform.
Okay, so we sell this as an irregular.
But what created the real wealth of the Yucatan was something called Heineken in the 1800s. It was known then as green gold. It's a plant similar to the blue agave, used to make tequila. But these have strong fibers in the leaves that turns into twine. That's right, twine. And back then, it had great value. Today, there are still a few Heineken-producing haciendas that you can visit for a throwback in time, like the Hacienda Sotuta de Peon, located in the northern part of the state. But the road signs are few and far between, so you really have to know where you're going.
Sometimes we call this a trip to the past, and to keep alive an ancient way of living.
Evelyn Ramirez Loria took me out on a mule-drawn cart ride, used to bring the Heineken back for processing. First, you go out to the fields, the same way they've been doing it since 1858.
And if you can understand the process, then you value the product.
Exactly. And the most common reaction that we see in the people is, wow, I didn't know that.
The first stop was getting a lesson in Heineken cutting by one of the original workers who spoke only Mayan. But it was easy to understand his point.
Ah, okay.
Give it a try, sir.
Okay, just like that. Lo mismo.
Lo mismo, señor. There you are, sir. Bravo.
All right.
The plant leaves are then brought to this fiber stripping machine and then laid out in the sun to dry. Then I got to try combing the fibers by hand to separate and then prepare them for the next step.
Whoa, that's hard.
The long fibers are attached to a hand crank machine that weaves the long fibers that then turns into rope.
There you are, sir.
Oh, wow.
Easy as it gets.
Actually, it can get easier. They have machines dating back to the turn of the last century that can produce a lot more and a lot faster. But you learn to appreciate the handmade touch and experience a part of living history. Just a half hour in distance, but a world away in time, is Mayapan, an economic force from a different era, a great alternative to the more popular and crowded Chichen Itza. These ancient ruins are what's left of the political and cultural capital of the Maya in the Yucatan Peninsula, starting in the 1200s. The ruins may be what's left of a great civilization, but 30 minutes south, in the magical town of Mani, the Mayan people still remain and thrive. And then, just off the main streets, among the traditional Mayan homes, the locals are all too happy to show off their neighborhood and then bring you in to share a simple meal that's as much about presenting their food as it is about preserving their history.
Wow.
This woman is one of the last of her kind, cooking over an open fire, the same way that has fed generations and still does today. It starts with hand-rolling tortillas from cornmeal, then placing them on a metal plate called a shamash. Then she digs a hole for the egg, drops it in, seals it, and it's back on the fire.
So this is a free-range Mayan egg McMuffin.
Mayan egg muffin. Di ba yun?
Ah, thank you. It's hot. It's a hot pocket. It's great. Oh! Ah, now it's a Mayan omelet. It's really good. Thank you so much.
And next door, a religious ritual chanted in Mayan begins. This is a ceremony to celebrate the revered bees, so important in Mayan history. But this experience is not just for spectators. If you're there, you're participating. The Mayan technique of beekeeping dates back around 2,000 years. And when they perform these rituals of honor to nature, they can expect a greater yield of honey. Happy bees? More honey. But these are not your ordinary bees. These are stingless bees that have been cultivated by the Mayan people to produce some of the sweetest type of honey that's also known for its numerous medicinal benefits.
Bueno.
And I was reminded that this isn't a performance for tourists. It's what these women do to show respect to nature, to pay tribute to the gods, and yes, offer thanks to their visitor. But no thanks needed for me. I thank them.